Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. Today on the program, authorities setting up security and health protocols amid the new coronavirus threat.
Meron pa rin posibilidad na baka hindi naman talaga ito posible, hindi ito novel coronavirus.
With China putting Wuhan city on transportation lockdown to contain the spread of the virus.
I'm preparing for the worst, and I say that I'm preparing for the worst. I don't think we're quite ready, because this is a big threat.
Muntinlupa Representative Ruffy Biazon tells us more in the program. Also, change has come to the motorcycle taxi pilot run.
Each player will have 15,000 each in Metro Manila. Additionally, nagdagdag po kami ng area.
Thousands of riders added and now covers Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao.
Excited po kami sa pilot at magtulungan sa gobyerno, and hopefully we can get the success of the pilot for the necessary law to be passed.
Joyride Vice President for Operations Noli Ayala joins us live. Thank you for joining us. I'm Pinky Webb. China intensifies its move to contain the new coronavirus outbreak. Wuhan city is shutting down its public transportation. Residents in Wuhan have also been advised not to leave the city unless they have, quote, a special reason. The shutdown includes local buses, ferries, long-distance buses, and subways. Wuhan's airport and railway stations will also be temporarily closed for departing passengers. No word yet as to when transport services will reopen. Around the world, airports are implementing more health screenings on travelers from Wuhan, China. North Korea has banned foreign tourists as a precaution. In the United States, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC, is testing several people for the new coronavirus. The agency earlier announced the first U.S. case in Washington. Officials of the World Health Organization raising concerns about the new coronavirus outbreak. The agency held an emergency meeting in Geneva, Switzerland on Thursday morning, and after hours of deliberation, they say they are delaying the decision on whether the new coronavirus outbreak represents a global health emergency. The WHO Director General says this is an evolving and complex situation and that they need more information to proceed. He says their team in China is now working with local experts and officials to investigate the outbreak. The Emergency Committee on the new coronavirus is set to reconvene again tomorrow to make the decision. The new strain of coronavirus was first identified last month at a market selling seafood and live animals in the Chinese city of Wuhan. CNN's David Culver traveled to that market, which has since been shut down.
Behind the police tape, this normally crowded market in the central China city of Wuhan sits eerily desolate. This is ground zero for the illness sparking global unease.
So this is where authorities believe the source of the coronavirus is. It's the wildlife and seafood market. And you can perhaps see over there, it's cordoned off. You've got police at all the corners.
It is so sensitive that within minutes of us arriving and recording, security asked us to stop filming. There is an uneasiness felt throughout Wuhan. We experienced that as soon as we boarded the train from Beijing. Each car nearly full, most faces covered, just about everyone traveling home for the Lunar New Year. Strict screening upon arrival. One by one, passengers step through a thermometer check to make sure they are not bringing a fever with them. Scenes like this playing out in transportation hubs across China.
Behind me, this is one of a few hospitals here in the region that's dedicated to treating some of those who are either confirmed cases or suspected cases of the coronavirus. Out front, you've got a few staff members who we notice are all wearing masks. Some of them are even wearing protective gloves, just to prevent any potential exposure.
It's brought the normally festive holiday mood in Wuhan to a halt, and it's cut down this vendor's business.
This year, the pneumonia situation is getting serious, so there are not so many people coming here to buy goods.
She's from a city that's about 2 hours' drive from Wuhan. She's got her mask nearby, and she admits she's worried. And so too is her daughter and other relatives.
They were asking me to go back home, but I can't leave with all my inventory here. I've already bought these goods. I have no choice, and I have to stay here and resign myself to my fate.
Other vendors more hopeful. This woman telling me she does not feel the need to wear a mask.
Maybe I am having a positive outlook. I have been checking online instructions on Baidu, like drinking more water or washing your hands more frequently. I think that should be fine.
The unknowns looming over a city with a rising death toll. Unclear what's next for Wuhan and the 11 million people who call it home. David Culver, CNN, Wuhan, China.
And let's go straight to the source of this story. We have Health Secretary Francisco Duque. Secretary, welcome to the show, sir.
Hi, Pinky. Thank you. And good morning to your viewers.
Secretary, what's the latest? There's so many reports coming out. Can I start with the 5-year-old boy still, sir?
Well, the five-year-old Chinese boy remains in isolation together with the mother, and pending the release of the result from the Melbourne International Reference Laboratory, where our RITM sent the samples for confirmatory testing. So unless we get the result, we cannot let the boy and the mother leave the facility.
Okay, so they're still both in isolation.
Yes, but clinical picture has improved a great deal because the child is no longer feverish, except for a few coughs. Nothing serious. The mother continues to be asymptomatic.
Okay, Secretary, other cases, sir.
Well, the 3 cases initially reported early this week or late last week, the clinical symptoms and the history of travel to Wuhan, in particular, is negative. So it's not fitting the case definition as prescribed by the WHO in its interim guidelines for novel coronavirus, which means that the 3 persons under investigation, those that arrived in the Calibo International Airport, they had no history of travel or work or contact with a patient, confirmed case of novel coronavirus, and no travel nor visits to Wuhan live animal seafood market.
Okay, what about that family, sir? A family of 4, supposedly from Hong Kong, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I have instructed the Bureau of Quarantine to meet again with the Cebu Pacific officials and to demand for the flight manifesto and to make a disclosure of which passengers did come from Wuhan, and that we need to track them down just to make sure, you know what I mean, that the contact tracing has to be readily done. And the first step is to identify them and their seating positions in the plane that took them in from Hong Kong to Manila. Because according to the director of the Bureau of Quarantine, he was saying that the Cebu Pacific officials were unaware of such passengers.
An incident, sir, yes.
Yeah, so, but, you know, we cannot leave any stone unturned.
Opo.
And we have to be proactive, and we have to really ask the Cebu Pacific the history of the travel of those passengers. So we will be able to conduct our contact tracing as expeditiously and efficiently as possible.
But Secretary, you are working under the premise that the passengers will be giving out their information truthfully?
Yes, that's one. Hopefully.
But they can lie, sir. Hindi ho ba? Because we all know that it originated from Wuhan. So from Wuhan, one can actually travel to any part of China and take any mode of transportation to maybe Shanghai or maybe even Beijing, sir, and then take that flight from that particular city in China to the Philippines.
Well, there's one thing they cannot lie about. The flight manifesto will be able to trace their flights, no? Their connecting, their originating flight. So the flight manifesto is an important piece of document.
Even a train, sir? Will they find out a train ride?
Well, that's something that I was only referring to the plane ride.
Okay.
Not necessarily the...
yes, sir.
Because what is important, based on the interim guidelines, is that the person under investigation should include the information of history of travel to or from Wuhan.
Okay, so Secretary, just very briefly, Congressman Ruffy Biazon is asking the CAAP if it's possible to suspend flights coming from Wuhan to the Philippines. Is this something you would support?
Well, I would support it 100%, but it may be moot and academic because I have asked the Bureau of International Health Cooperation of the DOH, which contacted the Chinese embassy this morning, and according to the Chinese embassy, the Wuhan city government has already announced that it was
on transportation lockdown,
stopping flight, and there's going to be a travel restriction in and out of Wuhan city. That will now be implemented by 10 o'clock this morning.
Okay, maraming salamat po, Health Secretary Francisco Duque. And as I mentioned a while ago, it's Muntinlupa Representative Ruffy Biazon who wanted these flights coming from Wuhan to the Philippines temporarily suspended. We have him on the line right now. Congressman Biazon, good morning, sir. Congressman Biazon? All right, we'll try to get him again back on the line. There is, or at least in the resolution on Twitter, you'll find it in the Twitter account of Congressman Biazon, that he was calling for this ban on direct flights from Wuhan to Calibo Airport. In fact, our research team also shows that there are other flights, not just in Calibo, but also in other areas here in the Philippines that ferry passengers, bring the passengers from Wuhan to the Philippines. I think we have him back on the line. Congressman Biazon, are you there?
Yes, good morning, Pinky.
Sir, so I want to get your latest reaction because number one, I know you're saying that you want some flights from Wuhan to the Philippines canceled because of this novel coronavirus, sir. But latest reports are saying, sir, that Wuhan is on temporary transportation lockdown.
Yes, I made the call yesterday before the decision of shutting down Wuhan. Because I heard from a radio interview that there are flights coming in from Wuhan directly to the Philippines. So when I heard that interview yesterday, I got concerned. That's why I wrote to the CAAP and suggested to them to consider the suspension of flights, considering that these are direct flights.
Right.
Now it's good. It's good that Wuhan itself has decided on a lockdown today. But going back to the experience, we've known that the city of Wuhan has been the main battleground. That's the description of China itself. It's the main battleground for this latest outbreak since December. And from December until this time, we've been having these direct flights.
Correct.
So I just hope that this should be a learning experience for us, that in the future, we could possibly take a more preemptive action.
Right.
While right now the proposal is moot and academic, but then we are just fortunate that Wuhan itself decided on a shutdown. But how much time would it have taken us to do a preemptive action?
Yeah, we should be more proactive about this. I
Yes.
guess that's what you're saying, Congressman. But I'm assuming, just under the assumption, sir, that there could have been flights that have arrived yesterday or maybe
Yes.
even possibly last night, because the lockdown, supposedly, according to Secretary Duque, begins at 10 a.m. So there are, in fact, other direct flights from Wuhan to the Philippines. Our research team has this. It's not just Wuhan to Calibo, but also there are flights from Wuhan to Cebu, Clark, and Manila. All right, just very briefly, Congressman, let me shift topics because I'm going to talk about the TWG and the motorcycle taxis. What is your sense after yesterday's hearing on the motorcycle taxi, sir?
Well, there has been intervention by higher officials. So the TWG has decided to proceed with the testing, the pilot testing. But
We lost him again on the line. The congressman was present during yesterday's hearing at the House of Representatives, but we have Joy right here, Noli Ayala, who will talk to us more about this after the break. We'll be right back.